In southern Georgia, a beauty queen in the prime of her life vanishes.
Her car's here, cell phone's here. What's happened?
It's like she flew away.
A terrifying video could hold the key to her disappearance.
The only clues that I'm giving you are clues never released by the press.
In Florida, a 9-year-old disappears in the middle of the night.
The young girl was discovered missing from her home.
Police suspect the worst of her family.
Do you not feel bad?
I don't know how you're supposed to feel.
Please help me find my daughter.
Beth Holloway is headed south to help unravel a mystery for one family and explore the heroic struggle of another.
You are my hero, and I just love you for all your amazing work.
In 2005, I got the call telling me that my daughter, Natalie, had vanished.
Every parent's worst nightmare became my reality.
I asked the world to help me.
I found myself in an unimaginable fight. But my search for answers gave me a new mission in life.
Bring the missing home and criminals to justice.
When a child vanishes, parents will stop at nothing to bring those responsible to justice. But before the father of one young girl could see justice served, he had to prove his own innocence and that of his family.
The tiny town of Homosassa, Florida, home to truck driver Mark Lunsford and his daughter Jessica.
She's just had this thing about her that would draw you to her. You wanted to talk to this little girl. It was like she was a thief of hearts.
A single father, Mark raises Jessie with the help of his parents, Ruth and Archie.
She was born an angel. She's a very good child. She never sassed you. She never questioned you about anything. It was whatever you said, that was it.
We used to argue over who loved each other the most. And I told her, I said, I love you this much. And she's like, what's that, Dad? And I said, that's all the way around. She says, I love you this much. And nothing will come between us.
But that was before the terrifying events that transpired in February 2005. Wednesday, February 23rd, 10 p.m. Mark is getting ready for a night out with his girlfriend. Jessie is getting ready for bed.
I yelled in the bathroom that I was getting ready to leave. She came out and she had a green towel wrapped around her, and she was soaking wet. And she gave me a hug and a kiss.
6 a.m. the following morning, Mark goes into Jessie's room to wake her up for school and makes a horrifying discovery.
I opened up her bedroom door and she wasn't there. And her bed was pulled down. Her clothes were still in the chair that she would have wore to school.
Also missing is Jessie's favorite toy, a purple dolphin Mark won for her at the county fair.
I hollered for her in the house, and then I asked my parents if she was in bed with them. And they said no. And that's kind of like when the bottom fell out.
Mark's mother, Ruth, frantically dials 911.
Yes, there's a child missing. Was she last seen in?
Shortly after receiving the 911 call, police arrive at the Lunsford home.
Probably in less than 10 minutes, this whole street was full. They had a command center right out here.
The young girl was discovered missing from her home. There was no forced entry into the home.
But as they begin to process the scene, investigators become baffled. How could a little girl vanish from her own bed without her family seeing or hearing anything? Police consider everyone a suspect.
And now the questions come into play. We have to look at the grandparents. We have to look at Dad. That's where we start with the investigation.
With no sign of a break-in, detectives are suspicious that Jessie's grandparents aren't telling them everything. so they decide to administer polygraph tests to both of them. The results are shocking.
When Ruth took the polygraph and Ruth was asked, "Do you know where Jesse is?" she said no, and it indicated she was lying.
Ruth Lunsford maintains she had nothing to do with Jesse's disappearance.
You don't comprehend all this. And it's like, why are you questioning me like this? I mean, I was shattered, absolutely shattered.
Archie's polygraph test also indicates deception.
Nobody passed polygraphs, and coupled with no evidence of forced entry into the house, nobody could ever be ruled out that they weren't a player.
I can't believe you're doing this. I've seen it on television, I've heard of it, but I don't dislike you for it. I just don't understand.
In the wake of the polygraph results, police focus on Archie as a possible prime suspect.
Do you not feel bad?
Feel bad?
Yeah.
I don't know how you're supposed to feel when somebody's leading you to believe that you brought harm to your granddaughter.
Could Jesse's own grandfather be responsible for her disappearance? Mark Lunsford doesn't think so. And while police focus on his family, Mark turns to the media for help.
I need all the media I can get. And I just plead with you to please help me find my daughter.
Mark, how did you handle putting your face forward in front of the media? How did you do that?
I think it's the smartest thing that a parent can do when missing a child. Get in the media and beg, and people will come and they'll help you.
The community response to Mark's pleas for help are overwhelming. The following day, an army of volunteers join with police to search the wilderness around the Lunsford home.
It was everybody. White collar, blue collar, no collar. There were sheriff deputies that never went home. Everybody wanted to find this little girl. Why? Everybody did.
They searched and they searched. And the more they searched, the more chaos, the more panic, the more desperation.
With no leads, Jesse's grandparents are still potential suspects and are increasingly the focus of media scrutiny, including an intense interview with a local reporter.
You just want your granddaughter.
That's right.
Even if it happened to be a family member or a close family friend.
Well, I know it ain't. So
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I know it's not no family member. Let's get off of this right now. Okay?
No, you're
well, the sheriff said that it had to be someone she knew to get out of here without leaving any trace.
That doesn't mean that it was a family member.
I'm asking, or a friend.
No. You gotta quit.
Member.
You gotta shut it off.
Goodbye.
You gotta quit.
Go away.
Okay. All right.
Everyone in your family had to be so stressed out.
They're going to put you through the ringers. They're going to tear your family apart. But they have to do everything they can to get the right answers.
But 3 weeks into the search for Jesse, answers are nowhere to be found.
Yes, we got a child missing.
Investigators in Homosassa, Florida believe the grandparents of 9-year-old Jessica Lunsford may be responsible for her disappearance. Jesse's father, Mark, believes police simply have nowhere else to look.
They had no clues, nothing. It looked like this little girl just vanished into thin air.
Then, 3 weeks after Jessica disappears, an anonymous tip provides authorities with a shocking breakthrough in the case. It seems a convicted sex offender has been living in a trailer less than 200 yards from the Lunsford home.
This residence was extremely close, actually within visual sight of Jesse's home. If you looked out Jesse's front door, you could see this trailer. That's how close it was.
Investigators are able to identify the convict as John Cooey.
A sex offender was living within 200 yards of your daughter's bedroom.
John Cooey had been convicted 2 other times for crimes against children, molesting children. He was registered at another address, and he was a career criminal.
Within minutes of identifying Cooey, police descend on his front door.
They went to that trailer, And they asked Cooey's half-sister, where is he? And she said, I gave him bus fare to go to Georgia.
Police issue an APB for their new prime suspect. By then, Mark's impassioned pleas have made national news and are now squarely directed at his daughter's alleged captor.
And I just want her to come home, and she's just like your little girl. I know that who's ever got Jessie, they got a heart. They gotta have a heart. They got to.
Mark's media blitz pays off. A woman working at a homeless shelter in Savannah, Georgia, has spotted John Cooey.
He had spent the night in a shelter, and a lady from the shelter recognized John Cooey's face when it came across breaking news, contacted the sheriff's office up there, and a police officer located John Cooey walking out of town.
Police descend on Cooey and take him into custody. Investigators from Florida race north to question him.
When Citrus County detectives came up there, he didn't say anything. Then he took a lie detector test, and he knew he failed. He didn't even get the results back. He called the detectives back in. He was crying already, and he said, I want to talk to you. I've got something to say.
Step by step, John Cooey recounts what happened the night Jessica Lunsford vanished.
You got high and I was drunk. I went over there and took her out of her house.
He knew Jessie was, knew where the bedroom was. So he went over to the residence, did gain access through the back door of the mobile home. The door was not secured.
I just took a chance and walked in. I walked back into her room. I just told her to come on with me, to be quiet. She done what I asked her to do.
She walked out of the house with you?
Yes, walked out. On the way out, she says, can I grab a toy? I heard stuff now. She asked me, could she grab? I said, yeah, go ahead and grab it, I don't care. So she grabbed that, and then we went out and we went to the house. Well, she told me her dad would be looking for her.
Now, what did you say to her when she said her dad's going to be looking for her?
I had nothing. I just told her not to worry about it.
Cooey admits to raping Jessie, and then tells investigators what happened next.
I told her I would let her go, you know, and I had planned on letting her go. I didn't know what happened. I got scared and I flipped. Went out there one night and dug a hole and put her in it, buried her.
Was she dead already?
No, she was still alive. We buried her alive. So she suffered.
Cooey tells investigators where to find Jessie's body. Underneath his front porch.
Two police cars pulled up. They come flying down my road. They taped off the house across the street. And I knew what happened to my daughter. They walked towards me, and I told them just to get away from me. That there wasn't nothing they could tell me that I didn't already know.
Police begin digging under Cooey's porch. In the early morning hours, they unearth Jessie.
And I watched them pull my little girl out of the ground in a trash bag. Her fingers were poked through the bag where she was trying to get at. She could hear me. He told the police this, that she could hear me calling her, looking for her.
I know that it's really hard for me to say it, but I know that Jessie had a toy with her.
Yeah. She had a little purple dolphin I won her at the fair. He let her take that stuffed animal. He told her that he was going to take her to see her daddy.
The mystery of Jessica's disappearance is finally solved. But her father's heartbreak quickly turns to anger.
I found out that John Cooey was a registered sex offender, that he wasn't registered at that address. I found out that John Cooey wore a tracking device, but wasn't wearing it anymore because he was taken off probation. When they turned the camera on, I didn't want to answer their questions. All I wanted to do was point my finger at them and tell them, your system doesn't work.
On March 19, 2005, Mark Lunsford stands before reporters and makes another impassioned plea.
Jesse's home now, and it's over. And now we have a new struggle. And I need more people to support now the efforts that we try to make to change things.
Using the press that once attacked his family, Mark embarks on a campaign to strengthen Florida's child protection laws.
Here's a guy that drove a truck. It was a laborer. He was thrust into the media spotlight. I mean, he wasn't trained, didn't go through any media consultant type work. He just spoke from his heart. And I think that's what was so compelling of people.
The kids will always be vulnerable. And that's why we have to continue to do more aggressively, not slowly over the next 20 years.
Where do you find the strength?
The strength comes from knowing that if you can get through telling your story, somebody's going to do something. Somebody's going to do something.
Today, with great pride, I will sign the Jessica Lunsford Act into law. House Bill 1877, as you know, strengthens penalties for offenders who commit sex crimes against children.
Less than 3 months after her murder, the Jessica Lunsford Act becomes law in the state of Florida.
If you come here to Florida from another state and you're a convicted sex offender and you commit the crime one more time here, it's life.
The statute is designed to keep habitual predators like John Cooey off the streets and away from children. It's a law that's now being duplicated in states across the country.
As of today, how many states have adopted Jesse's Law?
44 states have Jesse's Law now. We're still looking at the remaining states. It's not easy, though. I mean, some of the states, well, it's, you know, you have to be ready to fight.
I know you don't like to hear it, but you are my hero.
We're all each other's heroes.
2.5 years after Jessica's murder, John Cooey was sentenced to death. He died in prison, awaiting execution. And though it may be too late for Jessie, her memory will continue to fuel her father's mission to protect all children.
I told God that I'll do all these things if this is what you're trying to show me that I need to do and speak. Well, then you have to give me the words to say, and you and Jessie. And in return, if I do all this, I get to see her again. I mean, that's the deal.
Next on Vanished. Ocilla, Georgia, 2005. 30-year-old Tara Grinstead has a great job and a loving boyfriend. All of her dreams seem to be coming true.
She was in love and looking forward to getting married, the happiest time in her life.
Until one night, when Tara leaves a party and is never seen again.
And then panic kind of set in, wondering what happened.
The answer could lie in a sinister home video.
The only clues that I'm giving you are clues you never released out in the press or about police report.
And a bone-chilling confession.
I really believed that we were going to be able to bring Tara home, even if it was in pieces.
Beth Holloway takes a closer look at a beauty queen that vanished and the horrific evidence that may hold the key to finding her.
When someone vanishes, personal items they leave behind can often help investigators piece together what happened. For one woman, it's not the things she left behind that tell her story. It's the one thing left by a suspected killer.
In the sleepy South Georgia town of Ocilla, life moves at its own pace.
People always say in a small town, everybody knows your business, but there's a lot of advantages to that too, because they're there for you when you need them.
It's 1998. 23-year-old Tara Grinstead is living in Ocilla with her dad and stepmom. saving money, and working as a high school teacher. Tara also has one other great passion: beauty pageants.
She just wanted to go to Miss Georgia one time. One time is all she wanted to go, and she was fixing to age out. So she went to the Georgia preliminary pageants over and over and over again.
I'm an 11th grade history teacher at Irwin County High School, and I also have a cheerleading squad of junior varsity cheerleaders, 9th and 10th graders. I just completed my first year teaching, and I loved every bit of it.
In 1999, Tara realizes a lifelong dream.
And the new Miss Tifton. For 1999, she is contestant number 2.
Tara's win qualifies her to compete for the title of Miss Georgia.
I thought she was going to fall off the stage. I think that was one of Tara's proudest moments in her life.
Later that year, Tara competes for the title of Miss Georgia. She doesn't win, but the opportunity to compete is more than enough to end her career on a high note.
After she reached the age of 24, which was the age limit for competing in pageants, then she became a judge, a founder, a director, just any hat that she could wear connected to pageants. She just absolutely loved it.
Shortly after Tara retires from the pageant circuit, her father accepts a new job in Birmingham, Alabama. Unwilling to leave her life in Ocilla behind, Tara purchases a house on Park Street.
I remember she said, "This is the first time I've had my own house where I could just put things where I want it and I don't have to worry about anybody else." And she was just so excited about that.
A young woman out on her own, Tara quickly bonds with the couple living next door, Joe and Myrtle Portier.
She'd call me and say, "Mr. Joe, I got a flat tire on my car." You know, I'd go get the car or have the tire fixed. We was kind of mom and daddy, I think, to Tara. A local mom and daddy.
A home of her own, a job she loves, the title of Miss Tifton. Tara Grinstead seems to have it all, including the man of her dreams. She's recently fallen in love with a soldier named Marcus Harper.
There was just something different about Marcus. That's just, all she could think about and all she could talk about.
Unfortunately, Marcus's long tours of duty spark a series of fiery breakups and passionate reunions.
Did Tara expect Marcus to propose?
It was actually serious enough that she asked me to take her to pick out her wedding gown, and his mother went with us.
In September of 2005, Marcus Harper again returns home from active duty. But a shocking turn of events is about to change his and Tara's relationship forever. October 22nd, 2005. Tara spends her afternoon helping a house full of aspiring young beauty queens prepare for a local pageant. Afterwards, Tara stops by a neighborhood cookout just a few blocks from her house. Around 11 p.m., Tara heads home for the night and is never seen again. The next day, several friends and family members attempt to contact Tara, but her phone goes to voicemail. The silence is odd, but not alarming.
We was concerned and worried a little bit, but didn't have any reason to think anything had happened.
But by Monday morning, Tara still isn't answering her phone. Neighbor Joe Portier decides to call Irwin County High School and make sure Tara has shown up for work. What school officials tell him raises a huge red flag.
She hadn't called in, she didn't have her substitute teacher, the students were down there by themselves.
She would not have missed a day of work without calling in for a substitute.
Around 8:30 a.m., Joe Portier uses his spare key to enter Tara's house. Everything seems to be in order. But Tara is nowhere to be found.
There was no sign of a struggle, no sign of forced entry, and nothing was missing. The only thing missing was Tara, her pocketbook, and her keys.
Even more alarming are the items Tara left behind. Her cell phone is in her bedroom. Her car is still parked in the carport. And her German Shepherd, Dolly, is in the backyard.
And then, panic kind of set in, wondering, her car's here, cell phone's here. What's happened?
With no sign of Tara, Joe Portier decides to contact Ocilla Police Chief Billy Hancock.
I received a telephone call from Tara Grinstead's neighbor. The neighbor indicated to me that he had not seen Tara that morning, that no one had seen her since Saturday at about 11 o'clock. He wanted me to come to the residence.
At 9 o'clock, Hancock arrives at the scene. Less than a minute later, he discovers the case's first clue.
As I came into the yard, I could clearly see that there was a latex glove laying about 8 to 10 feet from the front door area.
The glove is a potentially game-changing piece of evidence and a sign that Tara Grinstead may have been abducted. Taking no chances, Ocilla police hand the case and the glove over to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
We sent all available agents that morning down to Ocilla. We initiated a crime scene search.
GBI agents collect the latex glove and send it out for a full analysis, then scour Tara's property for other clues. As they are processing the scene, Tara's parents race 300 miles to Ocilla to join friends and local authorities in a frantic search.
Ocilla came together, mobilized so quickly. They had search teams out on four-wheelers, dogs, helicopters, motorcycles, police cars, everything out looking for Tara.
By day 2, the massive search has spread beyond Ocilla, with hundreds of volunteers from around the county joining the effort.
The students wanted their teacher back, the teachers wanted their friend back, and the community wanted one of their members back. I mean, everybody wanted Tara back home.
Despite the tireless efforts of her family and the entire community, Tara's whereabouts remain a mystery, as do the details surrounding her disappearance.
There were almost as many theories as there were people. Some people thought Tara just ran away. Some people thought Tara was abducted by a stranger. People didn't know.
In Ocilla, Georgia, 30-year-old Tara Grinstead drives home from a Saturday night barbecue and then disappears without a trace. The only evidence is a mysterious glove found in her front yard.
It became a pivotal piece of evidence. Was somebody wearing the glove? Did somebody abduct her? There were so many stories about what might have happened to Tara.
But it will be days before forensic tests on the glove are complete. In the meantime, GBI agents rely on old-fashioned police work.
You don't have any obvious evidence to give you direction. You conduct interviews.
One by one, agents interview nearly everyone in the small town.
They was questioning everybody, boyfriends, friends, school teachers, me, Myrtle.
But this standard procedure soon yields a shocking discovery and a possible suspect. Investigators learned that 2 weeks prior to her disappearance, Tara's fiery romance with soldier boyfriend Marcus Harper had come to a bitter end.
Tara just felt like she had waited long enough and that she had talked to Marcus and knew that, things were not going to work out between them.
Agents now consider the possibility that Tara was the victim of a crime of passion.
We can't really rule anything out. There's a possibility that he is responsible for her disappearance.
On October 31st, 2005, detectives bring Marcus Harper in for questioning. When asked about his whereabouts the night Tara disappeared, Marcus tells them he was hanging out with friends, an alibi investigators quickly corroborate. But during his interview, Marcus reveals another detail that seems to exonerate him even further. Apparently, it was Marcus, not Tara, that ended their relationship.
She said, He looked me straight in the eye and told me 3 times, "It is over." And she said I could tell by the way that he said it that he really meant it.
Tara's friend and neighbor Joe Portier also confirms the details of Marcus and Tara's breakup and the devastating effect it had on her.
She always went after what she wanted. And this guy she wanted bad and just couldn't quite get him. And she just had a, complete meltdown. I'd never seen anybody in that shape. I was just afraid that we were going to find her where she had, committed suicide.
Confirmations of Tara's fragile emotional state prompt investigators to declare Marcus Harper an unlikely suspect, and that rather than falling victim to a crime of passion, Tara might have taken her own life.
Did you have any thoughts whatsoever, Connie, that this could have been part of the breakup from Marcus and that Tara had committed suicide?
She told him, well, if I find out that you're dating somebody else, I'll just kill myself. I can believe that Tara may have said that in that moment, but I don't believe that she meant it. That was just not Tara's way of dealing with stress.
And if Tara did commit suicide, then where is her body? GBI agents believe that in a town the size of Ocilla, search parties would have discovered it by now.
It was clear she had a lot of things on her mind. We surely considered initially that she could have disappeared on her own, but the bodies of missing persons often have a tendency to turn up.
It's a fact which causes investigators to wonder, could Tara have faked her own disappearance in order to make a clean break from life in Ocilla?
There's been recent cases of people that have been missing for several years that were presumed dead that turned up very much alive. So, that's always a consideration. It's just not something that's likely.
Especially considering that neither Tara's cell phone nor her ATM and credit cards have been used since she vanished. But most of all, Tara's family believes she had too much to live for to suddenly abandon life in her hometown.
She already had her master's degree. She was teaching. She had the job that she loved. I mean, it was just like probably the happiest time in her life.
Tara's family and the GBI believe the key to cracking the case still lies with the latex glove found in her front yard.
I don't know if the person that took Tara accidentally dropped the glove or if the glove was planted there just to throw the investigation off. Whoever put that glove there knows exactly what happened to Tara.
2 weeks into Tara's disappearance, forensic analysis of the glove is finally completed, and it contains even more physical evidence than investigators had hoped for.
They were able to not only obtain some fingerprints from inside the glove, but DNA material as well. That DNA indicated that it came from a male, and we've been attempting to find a match for that question sample ever since.
150 local men, including Marcus Harper, are tested for a match.
We've collected DNA from pretty much any male that we found that had contact with her. None of those matched the question DNA off the glove.
Still, none of the men tested are ruled out as suspects.
We can't exclude someone as possibly being responsible for Tara's disappearance just because their DNA does not match the question sample from the glove. So until we know what happened to Tara, we're not going to be able to eliminate anyone.
By early December, detectives are no closer to narrowing the list of potential suspects. And they've officially declared the search for Tara Grinstead over.
It's just hard for me to believe. I know things like this happen, but especially in a little town like Ocilla, it's like she flew away.
Clues regarding Tara's whereabouts are few and far between, but her family refuses to give up hope.
I don't think that I could ever stop looking for Tara or stop trying to find out what happened to her. You don't just wake up one day and say, okay, we've looked enough.
2009. It's been nearly 4 years since former beauty queen Tara Grinstead vanished from her Georgia home. In that time, investigators have fielded hundreds of tips and thousands of man-hours have made Tara's the largest unsolved missing persons case in Georgia history.
How many different scenarios go through your mind in thinking what could have happened to Tara?
We live with the questions every day. Where is she? What happened to her? When will we find her? Will we ever find her? Is she still alive? But you hang on to that hope. If there's any chance of it, you're going to grab it.
Finally, in 2009, investigators uncover a shocking new lead. They discover a string of chilling internet videos, each presented by a mysterious figure who claims to be a serial killer.
I got a phone call from one of the GBI agents, and she said, I need to tell you that there is somebody posting on YouTube, and they're saying they've killed 16 people, and they're claiming that Tara is one of them.
The only clues that I'm giving you are clues you never released by the press or by police department.
Posting his videos under the screen name Catch Me Killer, the suspect seems to know details only the murderer would know.
Did you believe it?
He started giving out clues about where we could find body parts, and I really believed that we were going to be able to bring Tara home, even if it was in pieces.
Agents run a trace on the suspect's IP address and track the video's origin to Gainesville, Georgia, and the home of Andrew Haley, a 26-year-old father-to-be whose wife is in the hospital about to give birth to their child. Is Andrew Haley really Tara's killer?
You had to go from the thought of bringing home an alive Tara to now just remains of Tara and just pieces of her.
The one thing that had kept me going was the hope that we were going to find her and that maybe she was going to be okay. And when I saw his videos, it just robbed me of my hope.
Police bring Haley in for a polygraph test, where he claims the videos were all part of a sick practical joke and that he acquired his knowledge of Tara's case online.
He had nothing to do with Tara, but his actions were such that we couldn't disregard them.
Haley passes the polygraph test and is ultimately ruled out as a suspect in all 16 murders he claims to have committed.
What did you think once he had admitted that it was all a hoax?
It was just so hard for me to believe that this person could do that. I mean, this was a grown, married man giving no thought whatsoever to the harm and the pain that he was causing us.
Andrew Haley is cleared of Tara's murder, but his interference with the investigation is a crime. The state of Georgia prosecutes him to the full letter of the law.
Ultimately, we convicted him for false statements and tampering with evidence.
Haley's stunt gets him 2 years in a work-release jail. But the search for Tara is back to square one. The only hope now of unraveling the mystery lies in the latex glove found 4 years earlier.
We can identify the person whose DNA is on that glove. That will likely give us some answers as to what happened to her.
Until then, Tara's loved ones continue to hope and pray for the return of their beauty queen.
There is not a single day that goes by that we don't think about her, love her, miss her, and want her back.
The Tara Grinstead case remains one of the largest open investigations in the state of Georgia. And as long as investigators have a DNA sample, there's hope this mystery may yet be solved. Until that day, let's keep working together to bring the missing home and criminals to justice, because someone out there knows something.
Tara Grinstead was last seen in Ocilla, Georgia on October 22, 2005. She is 5 feet 3 inches tall with brown hair and brown eyes. Today, Tara would be 36 years old. The Grinstead family is offering $100,000 for Tara's safe return and another $100,000 for information leading to an arrest. If you have information about this case, please go to mylifetime.com/vanished and click on the tips button.
I think about the command centers that were in place from the GBI, and they just had state-of-the-art equipment, and it made me feel good for Tara, knowing that everything that could be done, it was being done at the time. Mark, could you have ever imagined or even wrap your mind around the path that you're on today?
You know, never. How did I become the one that had to speak out? I mean, sure, it was because Jesse passed away, but it's just really hard to understand sometimes that, how do you find this in yourself? But it's there in all of us.